Humans have had a close relationship with animals for thousands of years. Scientists agree the domestic dog has been a trusted pet for around 15,000 years. And cats became part of the household from 10,000 years ago. And now it's estimated there are at least 600 million pet cats in the world. Exotic pets have also been kept for thousands of years. It's well documented that the Egyptians kept baboons as pets, and exotic animals kept in the home feature in many ancient texts. In modern times, the keeping of exotic pets has increased. A staggering statistic is that there are more tigers in the US alone than there are in the wild. Animal owners truly believe they are playing a role in preserving the numbers of exotic animals. But on the other side of the debate, there are those who believe it is a cruel practice to keep any animals in captivity. This series explores the issues from both sides, from those who know the dangers, but see the benefits, to others who condemn the keeping of exotic pets. Their stories follow. Gilbert's Bar G Ranch sits between the Rocky Mountains and the Sinbad Desert in Castledale, Utah. Since the 70s, Dwayne Gilbert has run a variety of livestock, including cattle and horses. Today, semi-retired, he raises a small herd of Grant zebra. Horses have been domesticated for thousands of years, yet despite how similar they appear, zebra have never been tamed.
They've had lions chasing them for thousands of years, okay? Anything new, anything happens, they run. That's the only thing they know is to run or bite and kick. So if they're cornered, they're gonna bite and kick. I've heard stuff on TV that they've seen instances where a zebra could crush a lion's head. I would believe it.
Dwayne has been running zebra for around 20 years and applies the knowledge he's gained from raising horses.
We raised horses for a lot of years. We had a breeding stallion, run 20 head of brood mares. So I understood horses a lot. And a friend of ours in California says, you know, you like horses, you do really well, you gotta try zebras. And so we bought a few zebras and we just really enjoyed them. When we got our first zebras, it was a little bit cold. So I called the zoo and they said, oh, you have to have heated barns and you have to have this and you have to have that. So I did that and the zebras were beating each other up. They didn't like being contained. And so when I called my friend, he says, turn them loose. Zebras have to have a place to go. I turned them loose and everything was fine.
To an experienced rancher like Dwayne, handling a zebra herd is not unlike raising other, more common livestock.
When we load the babies up, when they're ready to wean, we'll go up to our corrals and I'll feed them up there and we'll put them in a corral. The next day I'll feed outside the corral and I'll just stand at the gate and wait for the ones to come out that I don't want until we have what we want left in there. We go from there into a loading alley and right into a horse trailer. It's like working with wild horses or cattle. They're not broke to lead. You're not gonna just push them in. If you'll notice, I fed my zebras, I strung the hay out. They're just like other animals. They have a pecking order. If you don't string it out, if you've got it all in one container in a feeder, you're gonna have 3 or 4 in there and you're gonna have them kicking and biting and they'll still grab the hay, pull it out of the feeder and eat it off the ground. And so I rather bring it out here where there's some grass and it's a little bit cleaner and string it out, let the zebras find their pecking order, and they have a place to run. They have a place to go more than just 10 feet in case something happens.
Dwayne's years owning zebra have made him highly knowledgeable about his striped equine herd.
If there's a situation that we have to have a vet here, then we'd sure call them. I've used a couple of different vets. I know more about them than they do, but they're there with their experience, and so that they can help do their end of it. As far as bringing them in, putting them in a chute or something, I'm more familiar with them, and they just kind of stand back, and then when we get them in there, then they're able to do what they can.
While many zebra owners raise their unusual pets to be fully domesticated, Dwayne prefers his to remain wild.
I leave them wild for a reason. I don't halter break, I don't bottle feed my baby zebras. When I want zebras in my herd, I want them so that they're scared of me, okay? I don't want one that's not scared of me to where if there's an incident, it's gonna, hurt me. I don't want that. As any other animal, especially equine, you take a stallion, and if they're not scared of you, when they get their hormones, a horse of any kind, you don't know if they can turn on you or at some time bite you. And zebras are the same. And if they're tame, they're not scared of you. And I can take my stallions and they're just like this. Slow down a little bit, bud. You can feed them, they'll come up to you, be right by you when you want to feed them. But if you move, they're gone, okay? I like that. Another thing I like about this is natural out here. There's cleaner grass, they have an area, they're not in a corral where it's chances of infections or stuff.
As a practiced rancher, Dwayne is always alert when working around large animals, especially unpredictable wild animals with a kick that can easily crack a skull.
We do have coyotes here. We have mountain lions that will come down occasionally from the mountains. One of the things we have to watch is dogs. A zebra will kill a dog real fast. And yet, if they're in a contained area, the dog will scare them. So that's, again, if they're out here, they're fine. They'll chase a dog down because it's a predator to them, and they're going to defend their babies. I could probably walk over there, but anybody different, they're just scared. They're leery of anything new, anything, more than one person out here.
Zebras are aggressive animals, and fights between males are common and violent. In May of 2018, a woman in Zimbabwe was attacked by a zebra she had kept as a pet for 10 years. It bit off her thumb and part of one breast. Even as an old hand, highly experienced in handling livestock, Dwayne has been on the receiving end of a zebra's bad mood.
There was a time I sold a little male zebra, and he was, I think, 3 or 4 months old. And the guy wanted me to deliver him. So in order to keep it calm, to keep from hurting itself, I rode in a horse trailer with it, and I had a halter on it, and I would hold it. And he kept trying to bite my leg. Every time you'd think he was okay, he'd go wham, and he'd try to bite my leg, and I'd have to hold his head up. Another time we weaned a baby that was just a week old from its mother, and I usually run them through a chute that's got rubber belting on it to protect them, and then we just let the mother out and hold the baby. Well, I got in with the baby after the mother got out, and she was going over the top trying to bite me. I thought, you know, this is not a good situation. I should have been farther away, but luckily she couldn't reach me. But there again, she was protecting her baby.
A strong protective instinct and an equally strong tendency to startle makes for a highly unpredictable animal. So do zebras make good pets?
People want some that are bottle fed. When they want a bottle fed one, they take them anywhere from 2 days old up to 10 days old to 30 days old, and they can still bottle feed them. When they bottle feed them, it just makes them gentler. Petting zoos want a gentle zebra, okay? People that want to put one with a couple of horses and have in their yard, in their pasture, they want one that's calmer, so they'll buy one and raise it on a bottle. Other people, I've seen them take them at 6 months old, 10 months old, a year old, and put a halter on them and still break them to lead. They take a lot of work in order to get them at that point, though. A bottle-fed baby will bond with the person that's feeding it. We've seen an instance in California one time. We visited some friends and they had a little bottle baby zebra and it was only 30 days old. And they had kind of a party. Well, this zebra would follow its mother around, which is feeding her, you know, on a bottle, follow her around, and if somebody would come up and talk to her, she would get in between the two people. Like, this is my mom, leave her alone.
Dwayne also breeds and sells his zebras, and his customers have a whole range of different reasons for wanting to own one.
You know, I've been raising them over 20 years, and, you know, you just, I don't know, it just seems like we have a number of people every year still calling saying, you know, I got a zebra from you, I want another one. And of course, petting zoos, they've been good clients. There's still so much of the public out there that doesn't know that you can own a zebra.
And it seems owning zebras can also bring some completely unexpected surprises and special moments.
One time a young girl from Salt Lake called me. She had heard we had zebras and she had just loved them. And I didn't know her. She called and says, if we brought a photographer down, could we get some pictures of me in my wedding dress with the zebras? And I says, you can try. But I says, you put a white dress on and step out in front of them zebras and they're gonna leave. And she says, well, I'd really like to try. I just love everything about zebras. Her and her mother showed up and she got in her wedding gown and had the photographer down here, and we came down here and I put some feed out for the zebras and they left the feed and walked right up behind that girl in that white dress like, that is something different. You just don't know how they're gonna act. So many times I think they're gonna just run and get away from anything that's new, and yet all of a sudden they'll turn around and say, hey, this doesn't scare us. See, we've got one here that says, there is something different over there.
They may not make good riding or working livestock, and their flighty nature makes them dangerous. But it's clear that the lives of Dwayne and his family are obviously enriched by having their very own zebra herd.
We love our zebras. I'll come out here in my truck and watch them, and you'll see the same thing as you'll see zebras in the wild. And to watch them run and play, especially the babies, you know, you'll get 4 or 5 babies together and they'll just run around the pasture playing and dart in and out of the other mares. And they're an animal. So you just have to watch them and learn about them.
Well, yes, they're cute, all right. Aren't they a little unusual looking?
Yes, they're monkeys.
Chimpanzees share 98% of our DNA. Their intelligence, playful nature, and their resemblance to human babies once made them popular entertainers and even popular pets.
Oh, boys, please stick that in your mouth. Now, boys, you mustn't fight like this. Danny, sit up here in the chair.
Out of all kinds of creatures that you could have as pets, chimps are probably the worst pet that you can ask for the chimp's benefit. You may get the greatest joy in the world by having a chimp, but what does the chimp get out of it?
Martine Colette is the founder of Wildlife Way Station, an exotic animal sanctuary that a colony of 40 chimpanzees now call home.
Chimps need chimps. They need to grow up in a colony with young chimps and old chimps and in between chimps, and chimps have personality, cranky chimps and happy chimps and dominant chimps and subordinate chimps, and chimps learn by watching. And baby chimps learn everything by watching the adults. And they grow up with chimpanzee skills, which then allows them to take the rightful place in the world of chimpanzees.
Having worked closely with chimpanzees for more than 40 years, primatologist Bob Ingersoll agrees.
I mean, it's like being a human. You could build me the nicest apartment on the planet. I could live here in this apartment and have a beautiful view like I do, but if I didn't have anyone to talk to or anyone to express my humanness to, that would be a pretty harsh existence. Chimps need other chimps, just like humans need other humans.
Bob was part of the controversial NIM research project in the 1970s, in which researchers explored captive chimpanzees' ability to learn language.
Chimps are chimps, bats are bats, and they behave with their genetic predisposition, but on the cellular level, they're very similar to us. So it makes sense to me that those animals are thinking just like us. Well, I actually had 2 years of experience before I met Nim, and Nim came back to the University of Oklahoma in September of 1977. So I knew all of his brothers. I knew several of his other siblings that were twins, several female and male chimps. But I took to Nim quickly, and I saw Nim as a needy chimp that needed a friend, and I wanted to be his friend.
Bob worked very closely with Nim and his siblings, teaching them American Sign Language. He eventually learned that chimpanzees are not as similar to human beings as we'd like to think.
First and foremost, chimps need to be with other chimps. Secondarily, they need an area, a place where they can be together that's comfortable to them. And in captivity, that's very difficult. I mean, I work with a number of sanctuaries, and that's always our problem, that no matter what, you can't give them freedom. We do what I call the illusion of freedom as best we can, but at the end of the day, they're still in captivity. And like I keep saying, captivity is the enemy.
In most U.S. states, it is now illegal to own a chimp. And since 2015, when captive chimpanzees were classified as an endangered species, they can no longer be used in invasive testing.
A few years ago, the United States, put a moratorium on that and then ended it. And NIH and the government agencies that own the chimps that were part of all that are now in the process of retiring them. Chimp Haven has been established, which is the National Chimp Sanctuary in Louisiana. There are several hundred chimps there, and probably several hundred more that will be going there. So chimps in the United States are at least the ones that were institutionally held by either the government or pharmaceutical manufacturers or drug companies or hospitals. They're now in the process of retiring those animals. The pets, on the other hand, and the entertainment chimps, not quite so lucky.
Most of my colony is from biomedical research, and I am pleased and proud to say chimpanzees are amazing. They are very philosophical. They do learn. They adapt well, and we probably have the biggest group of chimpanzees in the western United States here. And there are bigger chimp sanctuaries in Florida and in Louisiana. And they have, of course, bigger grounds and big opportunities than we do here. But based on all the knowledge I have had, we've had only one really, really tragic chimp that came to us. He was a self-mutilator, and he would bite and rip and destroy anything from the end of his fingers to as far as he could reach with his mouth on both arms and hands and down his legs. And it took us 5 years before we could stop that type of behavior. But stop we did. Well, actually, he did. We gave the opportunities, we gave different options, and he adjusted and adapted. And towards the latter part of his days, the last few years of his life, he lived in a group of chimpanzees. And I'm thrilled.
Many chimps now living in sanctuaries came from private owners who learned that baby chimps may be cute, but adolescent and adult chimps can be deadly.
No, I wouldn't say that a chimpanzee was necessarily a predator in the sense that a big cat or a lion or any of those, you know, or a crocodile or barracuda fish or whatever, you know, are predators. But in the wild, chimpanzees cooperatively hunt. They eat monkeys, they hunt monkeys, they hunt bush buck, and that's fairly natural. I think that's also, you know, I'm interested in chimp cognitive behavior, and when you understand what they do in the hunting situation in the wild, it's fairly complicated. They send out points, they talk amongst each other, they move the animal to the tree that they're going to, you know, do whatever. So the planning and the advanced thinking and those sorts of things that you see in that context are complicated, and they are definitely preying on those monkeys.
Those who do choose to take on chimpanzee ownership rarely keep their dangerous pets for more than a few years.
Very seldom, very seldom. By the time a chimp is 5, 6 years old, sometimes 7, it's already becoming a chimp. It's assertive and it wants to do this, and unless you understand chimps and you are a good and a kind trainer, you're not going to be able to teach this chimp what you need him to do, because you're not treating him in that manner. This is your pet, this is your baby, and they can be dangerous. As you've heard about some of the accidents that happen throughout the world, they're pretty brutal.
In 2009, Charla Nash was severely mauled by her friend's exotic pet. She lost both her hands, her nose, ears, and her sight.
Stand for 911. Where's your emergency?
This is Sandy. 231 Rock River Road.
What's the
Send
problem?
the police. Send the police. He's killing my friend.
Who's killing your friend?
My chimpanzee. He ripped her apart. Hurry up.
With a gun.
Hurry up, please.
There's someone on the way.
With guns, please. You shoot him.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey's...
He ripped her face off.
The easily visible muscles on this chimp with alopecia show just how strong these chimpanzees are. Combine that strength with almost human intelligence, and the chimp can be a formidable threat.
Chimps are dangerous because most people do not understand what is a chimpanzee. In the world of chimpanzees, might is right. You know, there is a very definitive hierarchy and so on and so forth. There is order in a chimp colony. It may not appear so for somebody standing outside and watching some of the behavior, but there is order. But chimps are dangerous. They are 5 times as strong as you are. They have an intellect that are 5, 6, and occasionally even a 7-year-old child. That's very bright. They can plan, they can figure, they can create situations where they will pre-plan things. So, and they can be very volatile. And so somebody does something against them, they're explosive and volatile. And they have teeth this long, and I've got arms, and they can do serious damage to people.
Due to recent changes to legislation, sanctuaries are also seeing an increase in surrendered pet chimps.
Well, I think that those people that own chimps are less out there now. I think that those people should be examining the next step, which would be sanctuary. The pet chimps especially, I think, because I work at the Center for Great Apes, I know what they do and I know it's righteous. I know that they've taken animals in that didn't, you wouldn't think would have a chance to be integrated into a group and then become a chimp, but I've seen it happen. And I know people that have turned their chimps over to us who we don't deny them access. They get to come and visit. We don't disallow them from coming to visit their ex-pets. But we have a number of people that had chimp pets that realized their mistake and have rectified that by turning their chimps over to us. So, I mean, the reality is that this is ending slowly but surely, and it's fewer and fewer chimps are sold in the United States per year. There are probably around 400 chimps that are still kind of up in the air in terms of what's going to happen, where they're going to go. And slowly but surely, we are attempting to move the chimps that aren't in an accredited situation into an accredited situation.
Chimpanzees that come to sanctuaries from private ownership situations often have a hard time learning how to be chimps again.
The chimps who've never seen grass or trees or sky or birds, I mean, they're startled by it and they're a little leery of it. They can be fearful to step outside. But a chimp's got a great brain, and it's curious, and it does step out eventually, and it will sit and it will look, and it will figure things out, and it'll watch by example.
Most chimpanzees raised in captivity still enjoy and even seek out human contact.
We here believe in creating an atmosphere where the chimps are trusting of their keepers and of their supervisors, of their people. So you can bring them along. You can make them feel secure. You can give them options of friends. They can choose their friends who they want to hang out with. You give a chimp an opportunity, and you help it along in the areas where it has not been comfortable. They settle very nicely.
There are a number of chimpanzees that have been in situations that are so egregious that I can tell you about one named Clyde, who lived for 35 years in a box in a garage. That's just wrong. And so when an animal like that comes to the Center for Great Apes, we read as best we can the behavior of that animal, and we do what's best we think for them. If they solicit our attention, we give it to them. If they solicit our grooming, for example, not all of us, but the ones of us that have been clearly trained and checked out so that we don't lose our hands or fingers or whatever, we do that. What we do more than anything, though, is we try to interject that chimp in with other chimps. We try to introduce them together, and we've been fairly successful at the center.
Some captive chimps even prefer being with humans to being with other chimpanzees.
There are a couple of cases that, and one in particular, a chimpanzee that a beloved chimp to me that passed away a few years ago named Denise. She just didn't get along with chimps. She didn't have that opportunity to be a chimp when she was young, and she didn't like chimps. She grew up in a home. She drank beers and cigarettes, used cigarettes, and when she came to us, it was very tough, and she was a tough lady, She didn't like chimps. She wanted to be with humans. And at the end of Denise's life for the last 2 years, we did the best we could to make her life as fun and as positive. Still being around other chimps, just not in direct contact because it didn't work out for her. But for the most part, we tried as best we can to get chimps with other chimps. And it's a beautiful thing when you see a chimp that's never been with a chimp grooming one another, rolling around and being a chimp. And when that happens, we don't interject. We purposefully move away from that. We attempt to let them be chimps. We don't approach them. If they approach us and if they solicit our, like, hey, Bob, come over here, because chimps know how to, get your attention. Like that, for example, or or whatever, they get your attention, then you know it. And then you decide whether or not, that's something that's appropriate or not.
The consensus among great ape experts is that chimpanzees need to live like chimpanzees. Martine believes that even captive colonies should be able to live as wild chimps.
It's interesting. I believe in the case of chimpanzees, I think every chimp group anywhere in the world should be allowed to reproduce every 5, 6, 7 years. Because a baby in a chimp colony is a glue that keeps them together. It is the joy. They are so alive. They are so interested in the baby. And there are aunts, and there are uncles, and there are kids to play with, and everybody loves a baby. And I think the quality of life for chimps is greatly enhanced when every so often there's a baby. So I believe, although we don't do it, but I personally believe we should allow decent-sized groups of chimps to have a baby every so many years.
Chimpanzee family groups may seem similar to humans, and their babies may seem just as adorable as human babies. But all that we have learned about chimps tells us that no matter how much they resemble humans, they are simply not meant to live as humans.
Well, I am against captivity in the sense that for these animals that shouldn't be captive, but I also understand that they came to be in the situation they are over time, and from a time when we don't have the viewpoint we do now, and so some of the chimps are caught up in that. For the most part, they're aging out. I mean, we have a lot of 40, 50-year-old chimps that are passing away in sanctuaries. And as they pass away, the numbers dwindle. And ultimately, I think that those situations will end. There won't be the surplus of animals that we had in the 60s and 70s and 80s when there wasn't a moratorium on breeding and that sort of thing.
Find a nice sanctuary and place that animal in a nice sanctuary to allow this animal to have an opportunity to grow up to be a chimpanzee.
In the United Kingdom, exotic pet ownership is on the rise. However, not all owners possess the knowledge or experience to provide adequate care for these animals. Ark Wildlife Park is the United Kingdom's first rescue zoo, homing over 180 animals who have been rescued or donated from private pet ownership.
Ark Wildlife Park originally started off life as purely a reptile sanctuary. So all the snakes and lizards in here are ex-pets, and then over the years people started bringing us more and more unusual and weirder animals. This in here is a little grey-banded king snake. This little lady in particular is an albino, so she's got some beautiful coloration on her. And you can see why these guys are popular as a pet species. These little snakes and lizards can make great pets because if you go away for the weekend, as long as you've made sure there's someone to give them some fresh water, these guys aren't going to pine for you like a cat or a dog is going to, and they certainly don't need taking out for walks. So in some respects, they can actually be much less lower maintenance than sort of some of our more traditional pet animals like cats and dogs. But whether you actually get that reciprocal love come back to you, not really, I'm afraid. I don't think she'd ever miss me if I wasn't around. Like with any pet, people really need to do their research. And the other thing you have to factor in, a hamster or a gerbil is going to be with you 2-3 years. This little lady here, she can potentially be with us for about 20 odd years. So reptiles, as a general rule, not all species, but as a general rule, they can have quite long lifespans. Compared to sort of most pet species, no, they thrive in a much smaller environment because that's what they're sort of designed to do. The reason why you go out into the countryside, you very rarely, if ever, you'll see a snake coming across you because they're too busy hiding. That's what snakes do, I think. So they do like to be sort of like a bit more confined than traditional animals. A small crocodilian, the best way to handle them is to grab them firmly right behind the jawline so they can't swing their head back and grab you. Rudolph's reaching the size now where another foot or so I wouldn't be happy handling him, but at this size, one man can easily handle one of these crocodilians if you know what you're doing and you've been trained. Again, this is where it comes to, they don't make good pets. Make a mistake, they can easily take your finger off. Just going to go in behind, grab him by the back of the head, gently ease him out, and then keep your hand locked behind and also support the hind quarters, more for his comfort than anything. Certainly when he starts getting much bigger than this, we wouldn't be actively handling him. Nowhere near fully grown yet, but he's potentially going to max out about 7 or 8 foot long. Like most of the animals here on the park, he's one of our rescues, an ex-pet that was being kept illegally. These guys have got one of the strongest bite forces of any animal in the animal kingdom. The crocodilians have got a very powerful bite. Even at this size, this guy could easily remove my fingers, which is why I keep my hands nice and firmly locked behind his jaws, but they're certainly, I couldn't think of a worse animal to have as a pet, really. This guy can potentially live 50 or 60 years. So that's the other thing people have to consider when they get a pet reptile, even the more common pet species like corn snakes and leopard geckos. They're not like a hamster or a gerbil that's going to be with you a couple of years. They've got the potential, a lot of these pet reptiles, 30, 40 years easily. But of course you have to factor in, potentially they are dangerous. No, he's never bitten me, but I don't give him the chance to. Crocodilians, you can't trust them. It's not like a dog or a cat. Even though he's quite relaxed and laid back as far as crocodilians go, I'd never trust him. I don't give him that opportunity, so I'd never let him just sit on my lap loose, as it were. It only takes one mistake and you're going to lose a finger, so it's just not worth it.
Another animal that shouldn't be confused for a house pet is the lynx. While they may look like a beautiful feline, the lynx is a wild cat and a very skilled predator.
This is Echo, and she's our beautiful Eurasian lynx. They cover historically Europe and Asia, used to actually be native here to the UK. And all lynx are characterised by those wonderful little tufts on the tip of the ears and the little short bob tail. And they're the characteristics of the 4 lynx species. She's been with us since she was only a little kit. She's not a rescue, she was brought in as an ambassador animal. We want to start helpfully raising funds for the Iberian lynx breeding project, her close cousin, which is also unfortunately the most endangered wild cat species in the world. I certainly couldn't recommend any wild cat species as being kept as a pet. She certainly has a loyalty to me because she's known me since she was a kit and I can safely come in here with her, but I'm the only one that comes in with her just to be on the safe side. At the end of the day, she's a wild animal and you've got to treat them like that. She's not a domestic cat. Despite the purring and the rolling on her back for belly rubs, it can be very easy to forget that these guys are a wild animal, and she's certainly got the strength, the ability and the armoury. These guys have got big long old claws and teeth on them to do some nasty damage to me. I certainly, if she was a tiger or a lion, I certainly wouldn't be in here with her, no matter what the bond we have. If you were to have a bad day, I'd walk away from the situation, whereas if you're something like a tiger, I wouldn't. But either way, you've got to remember these are wild animals, so you've got to treat them with that sort of level of respect. They are a predator, basically purely meat eaters. Even things like wolves and wild canines, they will actually take vegetable matter into their diet, but cats are strictly, as a general rule, they're meat eaters. They're one of the most efficient predators on the planet, cats. They're fantastically designed to do what they do. Lynx are what you'd call one of the larger members of the small wildcat species, so that excludes things like leopards, cheetahs, tigers and lions. They're nowhere near the size of the big guys, as it were. But as far as more the sort of wild species of small cat, like servals, ocelots, margays, they're certainly one of the larger species. If people really want to look after an animal like this and they're willing to give it a lovely big enclosure and give it the respect and the time it deserves, then by all means do so, but never be fooled into thinking that this is a suitable pet species. For sort of 99.5% of people that consider maybe keeping a wild cat as a pet, they're really not suitable.
Foxes. They're a controversial animal that divide the public's opinion. Some see them as pests and tricksters, while others think they're adorable. Keeping a fox in Britain is legal, however, not without its challenges. They are cheeky, as our crew found out when this guy decided to investigate the camera bag.
Yeah, anything new in their enclosure has to be investigated. That's what you'd call your traditional UK fox. These grey girls, they are actually exactly the same species. They're just a colour variation that you might be more familiar with in North America. We do rarely get this sort of melanistic dark black grey version in the wild. All three of these guys were born and bred for the UK pet industry. They're incredibly intelligent animals. As you can see, he's enjoying an ear scrunch, much like a dog would. But this, again, is where people sometimes think that maybe they're a good alternative to a dog, and they really aren't. They haven't had those thousands of years of domestication. They're really not designed to live indoors. We've heard some reports of foxes being kept in people's flats, and again, they really need to be kept outside if you're going to keep a fox in a nice, big, large outdoor enclosure. They could certainly give you a painful nip. They're not going to remove a finger. They're not going to do anything that's going to cause you any permanent damage, but they could certainly give you a nasty nip if you weren't expecting it. Being a zookeeper, this is part of the risk, so we do occasionally, when we have to handle these animals, give them vaccinations. They will give you a nip. And it's not a pleasant experience, but I wouldn't class them as a dangerous animal in the same respect as maybe the caiman or the lynx. Not having had that domestication, there's far more chance of getting a nip off a pet fox than there would be a dog.
Ark Wildlife Park is the home to many different types of animals. Some familiar, like these rabbits, goats, and pigs, and others a little more unusual. But they all have something in common. They were once pets in a private ownership. Ark Wildlife Park is the place that animals end up when private pet owners don't or can't care for them. It's important to remember that exotics are not for everyone. These animals will live out their lives in captivity, but play a role in educating the public on the reality of keeping exotic pets.
There's something moving up in front of us. That's a berm. That's a berm. Right there, Greg. Get there.
Next on Python Hunters.
Look at the injuries to that animal. This dude is not happy.
The hunters get struck, stuck, and splooged. Trying to uncover how a once-in-a-lifetime weather event
This is not looking good for the berm.
could impact the python population in the Everglades.
Something was eating it alive.
Burmese pythons have invaded Florida. To eradicate them, the state's issued 15 special permits to snake experts. And these men got permits 1, 2, and 3. Biologist Sean Heflick has been chasing, studying, and breeding reptiles his entire life.
I have never been afraid of snakes.
Exotic reptile breeder and cop Greg Graziani knows his pythons inside and out.
I got my first Burmese python when I was 12 years old.
Python breeding pro Michael Cole has sold his designer color mutations for as much as $25,000.
I've learned about reptiles the hard way. I didn't go to school for it. It was a passion.
Now, these snake breeders are defending the Everglades. They are the Python Hunters. Recently, reports of python sightings have fallen off sharply. The hunters are investigating why.
Hey guys, I got it burned. Bad shape.
Oh man, something's been eating him.
He's alive.
Oh, he's very much alive. Look at that.
Ah, look at the injuries to that animal. Oh my, watch. You got it? Bad
Something literally ate this while it was alive.
While it was alive, couldn't get away.
Wow. Dude, when I looked down, I thought it was a dead worm. Because all I saw was this portion of the tail.
I don't know, it's been chewed on hard.
I mean, big time, almost down to the bone. This animal had some spunk to it.
Yeah,
and
when I grabbed it, it took off.
How tough these things
This
are.
is actually truly horrific.
It is, but scientifically very, very interesting. I think this is an incredible find because we are doing research. This isn't about just catching them and removing them. We need to study them, we need to find out what they're doing. Nature does funny things, as you just saw.
This python could have fallen victim to one of the Everglades' most notorious scavengers.
Is this animal bite, Sean?
If you look at the beaks on vultures, they're tough. I mean, they are designed to rip flesh. See this? Boom.
That's
boom,
a mouth.
Boom. Boom.
That's chunks taken out.
You know, just chunks after chunks. I will lay money that when this thing was cold in a catatonic state almost,
Something was picking it.
something just came up and was eating it alive. I want to measure the width and the length of the injuries.
Yeah.
And placements.
He's all messed up.
I'll be honest with you. I'd like to actually set him up and see how well this animal would survive.
With all those scars?
Yeah. An animal to sustain that kind of wound and survive is amazing.
Head temp is 80.8.
It's been laying there for the last 15 minutes, warming up, catching the sun rays, and now it's got enough energy to try to get away again. Look at that. It's ready to go. You gotta get it. You gotta bag it up.
You know, with the severity of those wounds and the fact that there was no necrosis and it had already started to heal itself, that's a good indicator that these animals are resilient. You know, there's a lot that either the environment or man can dish out to them and they can survive it.
One more gone from the Everglades.
The injured berm will now get a chance to recover in Greg's lab.
We're going to take care of this snake here and see just how bad the wounds are, because a wound like this for any other animal would normally be fatal. If this animal is able to survive, it's going to let us know that they're a lot tougher than we believe.
The Burmese python evolved in the full tropical climate of Southeast Asia, and it seems to have trouble adapting to Florida's colder weather.
The difference between a cold-blooded animal like this Burmese python and mammals which are warm-blooded is this animal cannot regulate its own body temperature. It has to find sunlight during the day to raise its temperature. It will seek the sun, it'll get on hot rocks or pavement, and with the coloration on this skin being very dark pigmented, it absorbs heat extremely quickly, raising the core temperature of this animal. Once that occurs, this animal has the energy to defend itself, hunt, digest, and have its immune system work properly.
Up until now, the South Florida Everglades has proven an ideal territory for the invasive Burmese python. It's kilometer after kilometer of hot, humid, perfect snake habitat. Originally from the jungles of Southeast Asia, the pythons easily travel through the shallow waters of the glades. Perfectly camouflaged, they can disappear into the grassy landscape, ready to ambush one of dozens of local prey species. The hunters want to know what left this highly evolved predator so defenseless that it could be nearly eaten alive. They have a hunch. Florida is experiencing some of its worst weather in almost a half-century, a cold snap. The coldest winter in 30 years means temperatures up to 20 degrees below normal. Crops are freezing on the trees. Cold-blooded animals like snakes are especially vulnerable. Without warm shelter, they risk dying of exposure. And the weather isn't just threatening Florida's alien species population. According to state officials, it's also having a catastrophic effect on native and endangered species.
We have 1,000 manatees that were killed. We found 100 crocodiles, American crocodiles, in their native habitat down here in the saltwater, edge of the saltwater, were killed. The bonefish, the beloved bonefish you go fly fishing for, dead by the thousands. We had to put a closure on snook and tarpon and bonefish.
The cold weather's upon us. It's dipping down, pretty quick now that that's sun setting. We had animals out getting the sun, but once the sun gets off of them, it's just too cold,
Sean and his son Thorn rushed to get their exotic animals under cover. For most of the year, Florida's climate is nearly perfect.
Cold again. I gotta come inside.
For animals that evolved to live in tropical forests, like the Burmese python. But the short winter here can be hard, and this one is the worst in 30 years.
Cover the tortoises up, get them in their hay.
Thorn grew up surrounded by cold-blooded creatures, a willing and able assistant sharing his dad's fascination with reptiles.
They're from Africa, so they typically burrow down where the cold weather can't get to them at night. So we have to cover them up with hay and a blanket.
Got them tucked in?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Now everyone's speculating what the impact of the cold snap has been on the invasive Burmese python.
They don't belong here. They're outside of their range, and the cold will kill them.
It's going to be very interesting to find out how the wild population does.
If I had to, make an educated guess, I'd say that they're going to lose some snakes, and the ones that do survive, it's going to put them in a bad way.
The hunters want to find out how badly the pythons have been hit by the cold. They also want to test a controversial theory on Burmese python spread. A report from the U.S. Geological Survey suggests that these invaders could spread from South Florida across a third of the U.S. The hunters want to know if the cold can stop their spread. For if the pythons can't survive this, then there's little chance of them surviving further north.
Looks like this winter's just gonna present a golden opportunity. They gotta be getting hit hard with this winter, this far north.
The bulk of the pythons that we found down in this area, I think where we need to check is north of 41 and south of 75, which is going to be right in this general area. We've caught a couple of pythons here, but we need to see how far north are they actually going and how many are actually there.
They're heading north, deep into the remote tree island areas of the Everglades. And to get around those parts, they'll need help.
Let me give a call to Captain Shaw and see if we can get the use of his airboat. He was raised out here and he's a Gladesman. He can probably knock it all out far easier than we can map it out.
For the guys, hunting in the ever-changing Everglades can be an adventure in navigation. So when they need a Gladesman, they call on Captain Sean Myman.
Gladesman's a person that has a desire and a strong love for the Everglades. There's no secret handshake. It's just a more of a comfort level. You spend enough time out here and it really becomes a part of you. I couldn't imagine life without it.
In the Florida Everglades, species survival is delicately balanced. Here, animals and habitats rely on the water. It may span across 1.5 million acres, but it's only 3 meters at its deepest. The best way to traverse these marshes is by airboat. This flat-bottomed watercraft with a powerful engine is designed to skim the shallow waters. The hunters sit up high with a clear view of any wildlife. And when they spot it, this vessel can turn on a dime. Captain Sean delivers the hunters to a remote tree island area where few people ever tread. The hunters believe it'll have the ideal conditions for pythons.
Hey man, this area over here is perfect. Look at the sunlight coming through here.
But there are holes all over the place on this thing for rodents and that.
Let's see what we can find on this while the sun's still hitting us.
Yeah, this is nice.
The hunters are beginning to wonder if any pythons survive the cold snap.
Oh, what you got?
Well, vertebrae.
That's a good-sized python.
That's bigger than anything we've seen so far. Vertebrae.
Yeah, there's ribs all over the ground here.
Yeah,
look at this.
Yeah, a massive snake.
Look at the width on that.
The size of the rib cage indicates a massive python.
That is going to be a big animal.
Oh, look at this. Oh, yeah.
Skull? What you got?
No, I got jawbone.
He's got bottom jawbone.
Ouch.
Look at those teeth.
I mean, that's a big animal. Potentially, that's 15 foot plus. This might be the biggest snake we've encountered thus far.
The longest Burmese python ever found in the Everglades was just over 5 meters. In the wild, male Burms typically grow to 3 meters and females to 4 meters plus. This one was probably as large as they get, but even at that size, something was able to defeat this giant snake.
Ribs everywhere. Some of them busted.
So what do you think? Something was preying on this snake?
In normal conditions, a snake that size would be formidable. After seeing this, Sean develops a theory. The cold must be hitting the bigger pythons harder, slowing them down, making them easy prey.
Ribs don't just inadvertently break for no reason. They're tough.
Well, you know what? This is all cool, but I'm gonna hunt live snakes. You guys have fun with the bones.
Well, I'm torn. You know how much I love bones.
I'll tell you what, you hang here with your skeleton, and Michael and I, he's already ahead of us out there in the sunlight where something's gonna be laying.
Okay, if I don't go, y'all ain't gonna catch squat, so I'm gonna go with you so you actually have a hunter with you.
All right, Slowpoke, you ready?
Oh, more pythons.
That's a whole different snake at this distance.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get GPS.
This graveyard holds a lot of data for the hunters on python's survival.
So this thing's been picked clean.
But they're a long way from home and running out of time before sunset.
This is not looking good for the berms out here. I mean, with this cold front that's come through, we're finding, you know, carcass after carcass here.
You know, the worst part is we're running out of sunlight.
Yeah, well, I'm hurrying here, man.
You know, if you can't keep up, we're gonna have to get a better secretary.
Yeah, well.
The python hunters are adjusting their strategy with the cold temperatures. They're wondering where the snakes could have gone. And to find out, they're taking deep cover.
Oh, dude, go back there. It's a whole big old pit. Maybe it's a... Wow, that's bigger than I thought.
Sinkhole cave or something? Let's check it out. Oh yeah, look at that.
What do we got?
It looks small cave there. Oh yeah, boy. I love caves.
Man, talk about a place where pythons could be hiding out when it gets cold.
Scattered throughout the Everglades are islands known as hammocks. Trees have colonized the top of these slightly raised limestone shelves.
Wow. Incredible.
But the story is sometimes below the surface.
You guys aren't gonna believe this. It's just wide open. It's a beautiful cave. You gotta get down here and check this out.
Oh, this is awesome, dude.
Oh yeah, this is cool. Look at these roots. This is like back in time.
Let's get some temps in here. All right, we're at 54 degrees there. So it's actually, you know, a little bit warmer down in the bottom of this cave. Now, I don't know how much body heat we're throwing off.
What you're gonna find is that because we're underground, the rock, the walls, the dirt acts like a perfect natural insulator.
This is prime real estate for snakes, man.
You know, so if it's 30 degrees outside and it's 54 in here, it's over 20 degrees difference, you know, for the positive. So, you know, this makes for a great little micro refugia where they can get in and out of the cold and you know, wait for it to pass.
So for those of us without the letters behind our name, can you define micro refugia?
Yeah, I mean, micro refugia, you know, just like it sounds, micro, it's a small refuge. You know, it's an area where animals seek to take, you know, seek refuge and safety. So,
I'm looking it up.
yeah, right.
No. When we get above ground, I'm looking it up. I don't believe you.
The hunters know the pythons are out here, seeking heat during this cold snap. But they just can't seem to find them. They head out to the warm, rural roads, hoping their luck will improve.
Oh, wait, snake.
Where?
Back.
Dead. Came across the snake, thought it was alive, it was dead. It was kind of one of those, well, let's get, you know, the information anyway.
It's a berm.
Yeah. Damn it, this is a good sized berm too.
That thing's been thumped and rolled on this road.
With the cold, it appears the animal's trying to find as much heat as possible on the roadway.
That's 10 feet, 2.5 inches.
That's a good sized animal. Yeah, look how skinny it is. What you got, Tim?
69.9.
69.9?
Yeah. This has been dead for a while.
Yeah.
On the ground, 69.1.
That's more than 6 degrees below normal for a berm. Like all reptiles, pythons can't thermoregulate the way mammals do, so their environment determines their temperature.
Oh, look at that. This snake was sick.
We open up the mouth and we realize that it does appear to have some mucosis in there mixed with some blood due to the cold weather causing the respiratory infection in it.
Look at that. You know what? It looks like that stuff's been coming out of its epiglottis as well. That animal's sick from the cold.
And then it kind of turned comical on us because as we're getting measurements and everything, Sean says to Michael, you know, why don't you get a sex on it?
Male, female, what we got?
Typically in a live snake, you might get a little, you know, a little musk, but, you know, you get the hemipedal inversion, and that's that. You can tell if it's a male or female, and you go on your way. I've never sexed a dead snake before. When I squeezed, it went.
The musk gland just squirts right in his face. The odor coming out of that was horrific. I'm laughing hysterically and gagging at the same time.
The best part is he did it to himself. He just squirted me in the face.
Don't do it.
He's gonna blow chunks.
And he'd go, It was the most hysterical thing.
Dude, I've been musked before by a dead snake. It was a lesson very well learned for me.
By the taste of things, how old would you say this animal is, Michael?
4.
4. Outstanding.
From my position, it was funny.
Hey, Michael, is it a male or a female?
Next person that asks me about that shit, I'm gonna pop in the face.
After being splooged, Michael leaves to get the stench off his face and clothes. Greg and Sean are heading out looking for python survivors.
What?
Real.
Man, don't let him ditch in that water.
He looks a little...
Whoa.
No, this thing is pitiful.
This thing is not moving.
He has absolutely no power. I mean, look at this. He is
dehydrated.
I've never seen a snake this skinny. Look at the pelvic girdle right here is sticking out on this animal.
It looks like he's been mushed by a car. He is so flat. Look at this, Greg. He's like laterally compressed. He's so skinny. He's got no muscle tone.
He's in bad shape.
Let's see if we got any upper respiratory going on here. Oh, look at that. Look at this. Look at this. See that? Bloody mucosal. Oh, look. He's got a little bit of stomatitis right there. See that? Ooh, look at this. Look at that junk coming out of the thing.
The snake experts recognize an infection of the mucous membranes, a telltale sign of a depressed immune system and a fatal cold weather malady.
Well, if that's the case, that's due to the cold.
This is really an example, though, of what this extreme cold snap has done. Some of them got hit hard right away. Some of them have upper respiratories and other problems associated with the cold, and they're just fighting.
We've never caught a python in this poor shape. I mean, we got a cold spell coming in right now. This animal.
Nah, he would not be long for this world. Whether we caught him or not, he just wouldn't be around for very long. He's on his way out. With the dead animals we're finding, and with the really sick animals from that cold snap, our numbers just went to one side. We were looking at about 50-50 live and dead. Not anymore. Within the last couple of days, we've jacked it way up.
With 68 off the head.
This berm is cold now and will only become colder as the night wears on.
You know, we need to get these out of here, but I hate to see anything suffer like this.
No doubt.
As a biologist, Sean wants to know how wild Burmese pythons cope with below freezing temperatures. He sets up an outdoor study sanctioned by Florida Fish and Wildlife to observe 7 captured constrictors.
They've got plenty of cover. They can get deep down in here, blocks the wind, blocks a lot of the elements, takes the edge off of it, but they're not doing well. We're just a couple days into this study, and they're cold. You know, we're gonna let this project go for a couple more days and ride it out, see what the temperature does out there.
As soon as the sun comes out, the guys do too.
You know, being out these last couple of times, not finding any pythons and very few native reptiles is kind of discouraging at this point.
But the hunters are determined to find signs of life. They know that morning is the best time to see any of the 29 species of snake living in the Everglades.
Slip on that, and you're 3 hours from somebody who can sew a testicle back on.
Even one of the 4 venomous species.
Snake? Yeah, you got him?
What do you got?
There we go.
Hey, little buddy. Oh, wow. Is that a black or a blue?
You ever talk about the brown-nosed, blacks?
Yeah.
This species isn't venomous. The black racer is one of the most common native snakes in the Everglades, but this one's in trouble.
Yeah, it's almost impacted right here, though.
Same species.
Feel that, Sean?
Wow, that's hard.
Isn't it? I'm telling you, if we don't clear that, this animal probably won't survive.
Snakes can swallow prey up to 4 times their own width, whole. Digestion can take days to weeks and requires an incredible amount of the animal's energy. Intestinal impactions can occur when conditions are poor and can be deadly.
Yeah, there's a lot of liquid coming up. I'm just gonna let him go.
I'm gonna let the probe out for a second here.
Oh, that's foul. That's not.
That's some perfume.
It's almost like septic.
Yeah. Well, if he didn't clear this, he'd be dead.
Bit of feces. That's what's just crazy hard.
How's it feel to save his life there?
Well, that's good. That's what we do.
That's a beautiful animal.
Look how dry this is.
Yeah, he'd have never passed that. There's no way.
The digestive enzymes need a certain temperature to be able to really process it at optimal. And with this cool weather, it's just not getting that. A lot of these snakes aren't, so it caused a massive impaction down there. But it's clear now, so he's got a long life ahead of him, hopefully. When you look at the North American snakes, they have evolved in this environment, in this system, and they hibernate. They just basically go into a almost catatonic state during the cold months. And then when it warms up, they emerge, into the warmth, into the heat, and they go through their reproductive events. Burmese python has not evolved with that capacity.
The Everglades is surrounded by a rough, dense terrain, a protective habitat for many wetland birds, mammals, and reptiles. The perfect place for opportunistic predators like pythons.
Whoa, snake right there. Where? Right here. I'm gonna rain right over. Out the other side. I was watching out your side and almost ran right over the little monster.
Coming out from the sawgrass. Look at this. Look at this pile of rocks back there behind us.
Oh, he might have been moving right out of there. Oh, this dude is not happy. Yeah, look at that.
Let's get temps real quick before you hit him up. 84.
84, so he's been out sun a little bit.
The Burmese python's ideal body temperature is in the upper 20s Celsius.
He's got good muscle tone. Looks all right.
You ready for a stretch? 87 total.
The data they collect on each capture will help state wildlife officials better understand the extent of the python problem and how to manage it.
Let's take a new data measurement we don't typically take. Let's take a girth at what we think is the widest part of the body.
To show how healthy the snakes are.
Yeah, let's get that. I think 8¼ right on the money.
When you look at this one, I would expect this snake to be good 9 to 10 inches in girth in captivity.
You know, for a wild animal, he's healthy wild weight.
Oh, he's definitely, he's in excellent shape. He's got...
He's headed out again.
Yeah, he's wanting to cruise and grab that bag. Let's get him bagged up.
During a capture, the python will expend its energy quickly in defense. For a period, it's almost completely docile until it's worked up enough strength to try to escape again.
We don't need to have a release on top of a capture, do we? Let's not get some spray in there.
We know how you like those ends, man.
I want to temp gun those rocks.
Yep,
Let's see what
right
the
here.
temp is on those. Yeah, the temperature on these rocks are elevated. We're getting readings at, 7-8 degrees higher than the surrounding. This is some great cover right here, actually.
Oh man, there's all kind of crevices and holes in there. Nothing big is going to be in there.
The tiny crevices in the protective rock habitat probably saved this smaller python.
Whoa, what's that? I got a Burmese python carcass. Serious? Yep.
But no such luck for the larger snakes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a big animal.
This one's dead. That's more evidence supporting the hunter's theory that the small animals are surviving the cold better.
A large python would take a lot longer to get its core temperature where it needed to be active. At the same time, it's going to lose energy a lot quicker if it has to exert it. The smaller pythons can heat up much quicker, and that's why they tend to be faring better in the cold weather.
No doubt. Look at that. Still got a little bit of flavor, huh?
That one, though,
this is crazy. What's wrong, Michael? Michael's gonna vomit on me.
Did you get any in your mouth?
I'm wondering what kind of animal preyed upon this python. This is a large python. I'm guesstimating this python to be 14 feet or so.
It's about as large as wild pythons get. The bigger they get, the bigger prey they need, from rats to rabbits on up. They are efficient predators, digesting everything but small amounts of hair from their victims.
Deer?
Right by your foot. Look at that. What is that?
Right here. Is that deer?
No, it's not deer. It's wild hog.
Hey, there's more
Feral
over
pig.
here. Whatever, if that makes sense, because this was a large animal. Look at all this.
Yeah.
He ate something as large as a wild pig down here. This animal needed to get a lot of sun to help digest that meal, which is going to make him extremely sluggish. It's going to make him very vulnerable.
Right, but what's the one animal that's really common in this system that can bust and crack ribs of a 14-foot plus python?
Those are the gators.
Those are the gators, no doubt.
No doubt.
Meet the giant python's match, the American alligator. It's the apex predator of the Everglades, numbering in the millions.
This weather's turning bad, guys.
When that, just a couple of minutes ago, it was like a 10-degree drop, just wham, like somebody'd opened a freezer door.
The hunters have to get out of here before the storm arrives. But getting to a hunting habitat and getting out can be two very different things.
All right, I'll push.
You're gonna haul ass and bust through the front of that.
Oh, my both were stuck under the muck.
At the southern edge of the python hunter's recent hunting territory is a much busier snake habitat, the Tamiami Trail. Determined to hook a live giant, the hunters check this well-known python habitat. At dusk, this is where cold-blooded creatures lounge around the asphalt to absorb the heat from the day.
John! Dead berm.
It used to be a berm. Now it's a coiled corpse.
This is a prime example of what's happened during this cold snap and these freezes because it's coiled up tightly, trying to get some sun, trying to warm itself up, I presume, and it just didn't make it. We can get a fairly good idea of the size of this snake from doing simple morphometrics. You know, you take the length of the skull and then you extrapolate to the length of a wild snake, and we can cross-reference that with other information we have.
Sean's calculations put this snake at just over 3 meters.
Definitely check out the teeth on this, though, up close, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, it's got a fair set of chompers there. If you were a marsh rabbit or a wood rat, you know, that's the last thing you'd want to see coming at you, but if you saw that, it's too late. Oh, yeah.
There you go. That's the good stuff right there.
A lot of the intestines and that are still here. You can see the fat deposits. So look at this, look at this.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a healthy one.
He just wasn't able to find refuge, yep.
So this is another victim of the weather.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, this, you know, nothing killed this, nothing tore to pieces, nobody ran over it.
This python's warming move has backfired. Positioning itself near the pavement actually exposed this big beast to the elements, freezing it in its tracks.
Our theory that smaller berms may possibly be doing better. Here's a good size animal, plenty of fat stores. You know, it didn't make it. Thus far, I think our hypothesis is, you know, holding up. We'll see as the days go by.
The hunters have discovered when it comes to pythons surviving the cold, size matters, but they're still not sure why.
We're good to go. Let's find a live one now.
We've caught live ones since the cold snap, and we found dead ones. So the population is certainly not knocked out of the ball game, but it's probably knocked back a bit.
South Florida's long cold snap is playing havoc with many reptile species.
All right, this is really interesting here. We found a yellow-bellied turtle laying eggs in the front of the facility here, and it was the wrong time of year. She laid them in November. Now, being that these guys are normally born in the spring to summertime, being born in the wintertime here and the strange weather that we've had, this would have probably been a 100% fatality rate for these little turtles. So I went out, I dug up the eggs, and I incubated them. And I've never incubated turtle eggs before, so it was pretty exciting for us. And here we've actually got one out already. These are the last 2 stragglers right here. We've got one still in the egg here. And normally these turtles would hatch underground. And then these little guys would have a huge trek through the pasture back to the water. And if you can see the tip of the snout, you will see the egg tooth right at the tip of his nose there. It's a very light colored, and it almost feels like a little shard of glass. All of the reptiles that hatch out have these little egg teeth, and that's how they cut through the eggs. So we've been lucky enough to get 9 out of the 12 to hatch, and we'll raise these guys up to about 3 or 4 inches so they got a better chance out there in the wild, and then we'll bring them down to the local ponds here on the property and turn them loose. So it's a great story, great ending for these little turtles that wouldn't have even had a chance.
Cold-blooded animals are completely dependent on their environment. But Greg's been amazed before by the python's ability to bounce back from a freeze.
What we used to do years ago, and we don't anymore for euthanization, is actually putting some of these reptiles in the freezer. And we had an injured python that I put in the freezer for 8 hours solid. Took that animal out of the freezer, and 4 hours later, it crawled away. So for short periods of freezing temperature, these animals can survive.
During normal South Florida temperatures, pythons can thrive and fight back. Wrestling 10 feet of muscle with a head the size of a grapefruit that's home to 100 teeth can be tricky. But these are experts.
This is a wild Burmese python, and this is a typical scenario that we find ourselves in when we catch them. Try to get them by the tail, kind of tease them out. Now, let's get her away from the water. Once they figure out that they're not going anywhere, then a lot of times they'll come right back on you. Whoa! Yeah, especially when they're really warm. Got to get them behind the head. They're real nimble. They can turn on you pretty good, so you just get it up.
Got him? Oh, yeah.
There we go. All right. You take a bite every now and then. That's to be expected. The intent is not to get bit ever. But you see, they go ahead and wrap those coils around them. That's a lot for support and leverage as well. And then they'll try to pull out of your hand. And you see slowly trying to draw himself back, gain that leverage to get out of my grasp. Try to keep that tail away from you, because that's the business end. Sometimes they evacuate, you know, that urine and that feces and the muss on you.
That's spewing all over the place.
She get you?
Yeah, a little bit. I personally would rather get bitten because it's foul, but that's the life of a python hunter.
What in the hell? Dude, you can't put snake heads in my cup holder, okay?
I think the problem is you misidentified my snakehead holder as
For
your
my
drink
cup holder?
holder.
Yeah, well.
To test their theory on python survival skills, the hunters break out their new toy.
Hey, we're bringing the snake cam.
Yeah.
No, it's not a trouser snake cam. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, this isn't a macro. This isn't a magnifying.
Yeah. Funny.
Work.
The hunters have rigged a small camera to the end of a flexible tube. This spy cam will allow them to investigate places where Burmese pythons may seek refuge from the cold snap and help determine what happened to the snakes.
Is that a good spot?
Thanks, sir. Here we go. There's leaf litter and stuff in there, so it's not active.
I can't see anything down there. And that goes way back in there. Anything in there?
Rodent burrow looks like, and it's all cleared out. Hey, look at this.
What you got?
Snake skeleton. Or part of one. Big vertebrae and ribs.
Holy moly.
Yeah, that's a berm, no doubt.
Oh, it's another victim to the cold.
Well, as big as that is, it's shallow. What I'd like to find is deeper ones.
Yeah?
You know, it's all about energetics. You know, if they can't, A, secure enough food and thus energy to survive, they certainly can't, B, reproduce. And if they can't reproduce, they can't, C, establish a population.
We need to actually sit down and tally our numbers since the cold snap and get a real percentage on that.
Well, I think we got enough information here. Let's go ahead and area where we think we might find some live pythons.
This python became frozen dinner for ants and worms. But a few more dips down the road, the hunters discover signs of health in a hole.
I'm trying to get a better angle. It looks like a snake shed. Check this out. Oh, the sun. You see that? Looks like a berm shed.
So there's bits and pieces of it torn in there, so it's real fresh.
If that's a shed, ants and the other ant critters will get to that and be gone in 2 days or less.
That's definitely a Burmese shed.
That means we got a snake around here then. Yeah.
Finally, signs of life. After finding a freshly shed python skin, the hunters know there's a live snake in the area.
Turtle eggs. Matter of fact, you can see where the nest was dug up. Turtle egg shells around it.
That means there's definitely Burmese python food here because, you know, raccoons, possums, they're eating the turtle eggs.
Greg needs to get out of my head because that's exactly what I was thinking is where there are turtle egg predators. That means there's prey for Burmese python.
What's there's something moving up there? There's something moving up in front of us.
That's a berm. That's a berm. Right there, Greg. Get there. He's going toward you.
When the sun finally comes out, the python hunter spots something glistening in the grass.
Oh, he knows you're there. Look at the tail
Yeah,
going.
he knows. Look at his tail going. He's wagging that tail. That animal is aggravated right now. He had a nice sun spot, and as soon as we come through that right there, he just started moving.
He came out of a hole around here somewhere. I guarantee it.
He's got his head covered right now, and he doesn't see us, so he's pretty calm. He's
Like,
almost invisible.
And that's not very much grass he was in either.
No. Look at that. Oh, look at
Yeah,
him
now
in the
see,
sun.
now the sun comes back out.
Yeah,
Look at him. He shines like a diamond.
Yep. When he moved, all I got was like a reflection glint off the scales. If he'd have stayed stationary like this, we could have walked right over him.
Even though this isn't its native home, the python's camouflage helps to avoid predators.
Yeah, just drag him out. Drag him out in the open.
Come here, buddy. Oh, yay.
And when that doesn't work,
Oh, yeah, he is upset.
it's a feat of physics. A snake uses almost half its body in a defensive strike, and it takes just 1/6 of a second to happen.
Yeah, he feels that heat coming off my hand. Sure does.
Oh, yeah.
He's forgot about me completely. You guys are moving enough.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not completely. Ooh, get that tooth on there. Come on.
He's trying.
You can get it.
Yeah,
you can
he's
get it.
trying.
Look at that.
Get that flesh.
Look at that. That animal is
It's a
beautiful.
decent looking
Look at
animal.
that. Yeah, look at
Weight wise.
Yeah. But one of the smaller ones we've seen out here, and we look at these holes that we've been finding,
That's perfect size to get in there.
He
Get out of the
could
cold.
get into those crevices.
It feels pretty empty.
Little spurs. That's a girl.
Cooperative.
There he is. And we got 85. 7.5, Greg.
7.5 on the girth.
The measurements indicate she's young and healthy.
86, 87.
That's ideal python body temperature. And this snake's lean and mean, all of which have helped her to survive the Florida freeze. It's an important discovery.
Who actually caught that one?
What's that?
I grabbed it first. You saw it first. You get to carry it. Oh, we'll just share it.
Wait a minute, wait.
Kidding?
Wildlife officials think between 3,000 and 100,000 pythons live here. Even if it's possible that 50% succumb to the cold, there's still a huge python problem in the glades.
Greg's hunting style is a little different than mine in that he doesn't catch as many animals.
Bandit right there.
Stop.
Heavy
Stop.
water snake right there. Stop right down on the rocks.
We're both go-getters. You know, if anything, we're racing each other to the snakes, and you know, it's a friendly knock-down, drag-out to see who gets there first. Holy cow! Look at that gator. Jesus. What a dick.
Come on, get in there. Son of a bitch.
Oh!
All right, give me my snake.
I got this fair and square.
Fair and square, you bailed out of the boat on me.
Look at that gator.
Look at that.
You didn't see the gator?
Yeah, I saw
See the gator.
Yeah, I got that fair and
Look
square.
at that.
But he's a little sneaky about slipping out, trying to get that one up again on the numbers.
No, this is a brown water snake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a bandit at first, but this is a gorgeous brown water snake.
Oh no, not again.
You got your phone?
That's why I don't have a leather one, for just that reason.
You know, there's one good thing about this, Greg. He's gonna be freaking miserable the rest of the day.
The sun is back in Florida, and temperatures approach near normal. But after almost 2 straight weeks of lows below 10 degrees Celsius, the coldest winter in 30 years has killed thousands of animals in the Everglades. At Sean's place, his wife Jen and son Thorne get their exotic animals out for some much-needed basking. Meanwhile, the python hunters try to turn their data into conclusions.
We're subtropical, and that's the tip of Florida. These animals have evolved and come from Southeast Asia, which is full-on tropical climate.
The farthest north animals we found are in very poor condition, and now all the way down into the south. We're finding just as many dead animals as we are live ones now after this cold front has gone through.
Extended periods of cold is a death warrant for them.
Sean knows firsthand about the effects of cold on pythons. He conducted a series of state-sanctioned cold weather experiments on the serpents.
Well, it's colder than snot out here. That's what I found. But you know, it's the morning of the 4th day. There's absolutely no response. I don't see any breathing. 26, 27 degrees. That's head temp on this animal. They are icicle cold. Magnificent animals, but they just can't take sustained cold like this.
6 of the 7 snakes perished in the cold. The 7th died later from a resulting upper respiratory infection.
I don't see how all this talk about them making their way up to Georgia and the Carolinas and then to Virginia and on up to Washington has any merit at all.
So you're saying we're not going to have pythons crawling across the White House lawn in 10 years?
No, not at all. Don't believe they're going to be crawling across the governor's mansion's lawn in Florida or Georgia either.
The very southern tip of Florida is the only thing that's going to support these animals. These respiratory infections with their immune system down could take months to take its toll on these pythons, so we got a lot more data to get out there and collect.
But these giant snakes have also shown an incredible ability to battle back.
I think they're resilient. I think the fact that we are finding, you know, a number of them still alive means that they're not down and out totally.
We found that one Burmese python that got into that cold state, that catatonic state, and those vultures just, you know, picked a 15-inch by 4-inch chunk of meat out of that thing.
As part of a fully sanctioned experiment, Greg took the python back to his reptile facility. There, he enlisted his son Lane in helping with its recovery. They gave the ravaged wild Burm water and a warm, dry spot to recover from its wounds.
I'm gonna pass it off to you, all right, Lane, so I can inspect the body on this guy again. Still acting like that wild Burm. Can you get him under here? Slide under my hand.
When Lane's at school, he's got such a reputation for dealing with wildlife.
Tell me when you got him.
That any time they've got a snake or something in the playground, they call him out of class to come catch it.
All right, look at this. Well, look how good he's healing. And that was raw muscle last time. So this is where a bunch of them ate part of his skin right off, and then they pecked throughout his body. And we caught that animal from the nose all the way around this eye. Looked totally damaged. And after this animal has shed out, you can see he's got a little bit of scar tissue around the eye, so he's missing this big scale right here around that one eye. But other than that, everything else is healing perfectly on this animal. That's amazing. What do you think?
I think he's doing good.
Yeah.
Here's a maggot. That's
But
good, isn't it?
Yeah, that is good. You know why that's good?
Because they eat the dead skin off.
That's exactly right. That's amazing to show the resilience of these animals. So, I mean, I don't think by any means we've wiped these things out. So I think we can all agree that having a cold event that would totally eradicate them is probably not going to happen. So we're still going to have to manage these animals.
You know, we've collected a lot of data. It's adding up. It's putting the pieces in the puzzle, But there's still a lot of more data to collect. You know, as strange as it sounds, it's really a dance between us and the python. The python doesn't necessarily dance to the tune we have in mind. Sometimes we step on each other's toes. You know, that's the life of a python hunter.
You got the record for the tiniest sperm.
Hey, it's a record. I'll take any record I can get.
The python hunters get out of the Everglades and take to the streets.
There's one right there.
And canals.
I think someone really wanted to let him go.
To hunt Florida's other untamable.
No, these iguanas are kicking our butts, guys.
And unwanted invasive reptiles.
Nine monitor right on the bank.
They tear meat, they rip it, they crush snails.
Hurry to the boat! Ow! Some bit me.
Invasive reptiles threaten Florida's wetlands. iguanas, Nile monitors, and the most notorious of all, the giant Burmese python.
Snake, there's a berm right there.
You got him? Oh, yeah.
Now 3 men join forces to defend the Everglades. Biologist Sean Heflick. He's been chasing, breeding, and collecting reptiles his entire life.
I've never been afraid of snakes.
Exotic reptile breeder and cop Greg Graziani. He knows his pythons inside and out.
I got my first Burmese python when I was 12 years old.
And python breeding pro Michael Cole. He sold his designer color mutations for as much as $25,000.
I've learned about reptiles the hard way. It was a passion.
They are the Python Hunters.
Right down there is where I caught the hatchlings, right?
Somebody else caught some babies on this road too, wasn't it?
The hunters are taking a break from the swamps to catch pythons in a nearby forest.
So if there's been babies caught right here 2 years in a row, that means there's a mother that's sticking around here.
We need to get out there and start looking for her.
Game on!
They soon discover the perfect breeding conditions for a mother berm.
It's high and dry here.
Yeah, it is. This is a good ridge.
But more than pythons breed here. These woods are home to 4 species of venomous snakes, and they bite when cornered.
Hey, Sean, this looks like perfect eastern diamondback territory.
Yeah, I'm with you. All these down trees, the high ground, the brush cover, the fern cover.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Greg, get your head up. There's a baby berm.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, got him.
Sean, help him with that. That one looks a little too big for him to handle. Gotta give you credit, Michael. You did scream, but it was a little more manlier than Sean's.
That's a lie.
My dad taught me that the easiest way to get a snake is to let it bite you. Then you got it. You know you got it.
Like you got manhandled by a hatchling. That's this year's.
He's a hatchling. Look at his umbilicus.
Look, still got the scar.
Look at that.
Yeah. Get a head temp first. 79.7.
I say that's awful low.
Burmese pythons' head temperatures soar into the high 80s and low 90s when they've been sunning. This one is showing signs of the cold.
Did you get a ground temp? Okay.
81.8.
Okay. Well, here's the key for you, Michael. This one's going to be tough. I need a length and a girth.
And let us not forget
a sex.
I don't mind sex on this one. Oh, it's a male.
It's a male.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
It's a male.
And I did that without getting spooged.
First time for everything, Mikey.
Hey, little guy, hold still. Oh, come on, stretch. 34 and a half. Woo!
Girth, baby. 3.5 inches.
So this is definitely this year's baby. I don't think there's any chance that the 2-year-old would still be this small.
Probably hatched out in mid-August, early September. So he's only a couple months old.
What's the weight on that?
8 ounces.
Is that what we got? I think you got the record for the tiniest berm.
Hey, it's a record. I'll take any record I can get.
For the python hunters, any invasive berm, even a hatchling, is too big a threat to leave in a Florida forest.
We say we get something to eat, and sunsets would be a good time to check this road out.
Come on, baby snake master.
Hoo-ah, one more gone.
When the sun goes down, the cold-blooded Burmese pythons slither out onto the highways to raise their body temperature. Warm asphalt's an excellent hunting ground.
There's something on the side of the road right there.
I saw that. What was that?
I don't know. It looked pretty big, though.
Looked dead.
Yeah, it looked like it might have been hit.
Could be a berm. Let's go back and look at it.
Every year in the U.S., almost 400 million animals become roadkill.
There. Yeah. It's a snake. Oh, it's a berm. It looks like the road crew marked it to notify somebody from FWC the location of it, make it easy to find.
You think this was run over by a car on purpose or just inadvertent?
It could have been just crossing the road and hit. We know people see them, they swerve to hit them, they think they're doing
a good job. Unfortunately, sometimes at 60 miles an hour, they can't tell a berm from a native snake. Is there any way to tell male or female on that tail? Is there enough of it left?
To look. I mean, the only way would probably is if the spurs were.
Got anything?
No, it's too
okay,
hard.
we'll leave that one as unknown.
Death doesn't excuse this snake from a full body examination. It only makes it safer for the hunters.
How much you got there, Mike?
About 54 inches.
Are these the same bugs that you use to do your skeleton preps?
Yeah, they're native here. These domestic beetles under there. You can see them all through here.
What's
right
this?
there.
Is that a young beetle or is that a different species?
No, there's the larva.
How much time does it take for the larva to turn into a beetle? Will it do it in this carcass?
Well, it depends on temperature and how much they have to eat, and you know, I would doubt it'll go all the way through in this carcass because this carcass is so.
So will the larva crawl off?
Yeah, the larva crawl off.
So let's get this thing off the roadway.
Whether it's cars, the cold, or the python hunters themselves, there's no future for berms in Florida. But somehow they survive, and they're not alone. The state of Florida has almost 400 species of invasive animals. Many of them started out as unwanted pets. To curb their release into the sensitive ecosystems, the Fish and Wildlife Commission sponsors several annual amnesty days.
Kind of aggressive?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
Such an event is held at Gatorland, one of Central Florida's oldest attractions. Gatorland is devoted to crocodilians, wildlife walks, and educational experiences for families looking for something other than roller coasters in Orlando.
So you got some stuff coming in, huh?
Yeah, a little early.
What did he bring in?
Turtles.
Turtles?
Tim Williams has invited Sean and Greg to offer their expert advice on invasive species.
When I was a kid growing up here, we just didn't realize the impact these animals have at the time. It was an animal.
Right.
You know, and it gets too big or you get tired of it and chunk it, and it's just so sad. Who owns this? How you doing? I'm Tim. I'm Blue. Blue, good to see you. You're?
Amber.
Amber, good to see you.
Tim greets new visitors and helps them get started processing their unwanted animals.
Well, I think he's a marvelous-looking animal, but, man, they grow up to be real monsters and can really do a job.
As long as he's in the cage, he's fine. But if you try, he's not been used to take down that cage.
It's better that you do this than turn him loose or take some other action with him. Yeah.
In Florida, it's illegal to release a non-native animal into the wild.
Come here, buddy. Yep.
On Amnesty Day, owners surrender unwanted pets with no hassles and no fines.
It's all right. It's all right. All these scary people manhandling you. Do you have reptiles as pets?
No, I really want.
What do you want?
I want to use one like that size.
What? But you got to keep it in a huge cage.
I know, my mom freaks out.
Oh, your mom freaks out.
She doesn't like iguanas.
Oh, maybe you should get like a little ball python. They don't get very big, and they get really cool ones. And know what you're getting into before you buy it. Know what they eat, know what size of cage they need, know how long they live, know all that stuff before you buy one. Deal?
Sure.
Yeah, these are definitely the same species, but unfortunately they're hybrids. Red ear slider, indigenous slider.
Is that good or bad?
That's bad. We don't really want red ear sliders or hybrids. That's part of the problem. They get into these waterways here and they can hybridize with indigenous animals, and that's not good.
I didn't want to let them loose, yeah.
Right.
I don't want them to get eaten by raccoons or anything like that. I really care about them.
You made the right decision. This one you can see, you see a little bit of red right there.
Yeah.
This is, do you know what the male look like?
No. This man sold them on the side of the road, and I got them when they were that big.
You can't do that anymore. You can't sell aquatic turtles in the state of Florida that are under 4 inches carapace length. So these little tiny quarter-size hatchlings anymore can only be sold for educational purposes or research.
And that's what he made me. That's what he said. He made me sign a paper saying that that's what I was doing with them. Yes.
That they were for research.
Yeah, that they were for research.
Loophole, right? Yeah.
Goodbye, baby.
Say bye. You all right? Sorry. You want to pet him?
Parting with a beloved pet isn't easy, but Amnesty Day plays a vital role in protecting Florida from animals that can no longer be cared for.
Are you all right?
No.
No? What's the reason for turning the turtles in?
We have, what is that? It's like a little baby pool like you get at Kmart. It's only like 8 inches deep. And I mean, it's fine, but I just, like, they can't really, like, go under and swim, and they get up on their little light. But he's getting big enough where, like, if he pushes on the edge of the bricks, he can almost get out.
Okay.
Cutie.
Yeah.
And you're turning in a ball python, right?
Some people have more serious concerns about safety.
I just worry. I just had a baby, and on the news, things happening like here locally in Florida about, snakes escaping their cage on accident and hurting the baby, and one actually died locally, so it just kind of brought, a little fear to the house. He has escaped a couple times in his 20 years with me, so it was a worry.
They don't ever eat larger prey. They don't even ever attempt to eat larger prey. Humans are never on their menu. Even the Burmese pythons. That story that you saw on the news, unfortunately, as tragic as it was, there's a lot of problems with that story.
See, that's news. They, said they didn't feed him properly and he got loose.
You take care.
Stories like these sound more like urban legends to the python hunters.
It's typical. People see that on the news and they start to get, when they have babies and they have young children, they start to get a little emotional about it.
I just hope we didn't talk to her too late and, the snake's already gone.
Well, it'll get a good home, so ultimately it works itself out.
The python hunters take a break from educating the public about invasive species to catch one of their own, the elusive Nile monitor lizard. The boys are on their way to a residential neighborhood in Cape Coral that's been crawling with Nile monitors for over a decade. Despite intense efforts to get rid of them, the population continues to breed here in large numbers.
This is kind of ground zero for these dudes. This is where you've been seeing them in this grass?
Where we've been seeing them, and all the way around this area, it's kind of Swiss cheese burrows.
Bob Mongok works for the city, setting traps in residential areas full of Niles.
That is a tangled mess in there.
Yes, it is.
Wow, that's like Shangri-La. It's so thick and swampy, and there's no way you could follow one of these things in there. It's thick. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled.
The Nile monitor is Africa's largest lizard and can grow over 2 meters long. An excellent swimmer, the Nile hunts fish, frogs, snakes, and even crocodile eggs, making it an enormous threat to Florida's native animals. One local resident has gone way beyond trapping the nuisance.
How are you? I'm Sean.
Hi, Sean.
You're the lizard dissector?
I dissect the lizards. I've dissected probably 5.
What have you found in their guts?
Their diets are actually really marine. I found crabs, a bunch of snails, and one belly I found like 50 snail
like
shells.
Apple snails, big apple snails?
Yeah, about this big.
Yeah.
And then the funniest thing, the last one I dissected, there was a whole baby turtle, intact, not even digested. It was like a little yellow belly slider about this big. It had just eaten it before we captured it. It was just a whole baby turtle. I was amazed.
Do you have any knowledge of maybe who or where the original Niles that are in this area got released, or how they got released?
I think someone really wanted to let them go and really wanted them to live here, because that's why there's so many.
The python hunters look in on one of Bob's Nile monitor traps.
How long's this trap been out?
Well, we just put it out this morning.
Is this a typical spot where you've been catching them?
Well, sure. This is southwest Cape Coral, and that's where we primarily catch them all.
This does look like a great area. You've got a lot of thick brush around the canal in this corner here. You've got a complete vacant lot across the street. There's lots of places for them to go here and there and stay under cover, so it makes sense for them to be in a place like this.
Let's skate on down this shoreline here and see if we see anything.
Check this big snail shell out. That is a huge, there's a couple of them right here. Those are huge. Those monitors wouldn't be sucking something that big down, but all of the babies and that, they would just be eating them like candy.
Is that an invasive species, or is that
Yeah, those are non-native. Ours don't get that big. Oh, well, look, right here, look at this. Here's a mass of natives, which is the white, the bigger ones on the left, and then it's the non-natives right here, the pinkish ones.
The snail eggs are a clear example of how non-natives are competing with and threatening local species.
using the same exact habitat and niche. Oh, look at this, look at this. If you can see out there, see all the young snails on those roots? And they're all over. Just under the water's surface, it is just covered in snails.
They said they found in the belly of those.
Tons of them. She said close to 100 or whatever. And I believe it. Look at this. This is just like a buffet.
There, yeah.
This thing looks like it just wants a kiss.
Sean, you gonna eat that or what?
Let's let him go back down here.
Lots of good food for Nile monitors here, that's for sure. So you've seen this guy?
Yeah, several times.
Yeah?
My son saw him, as a matter of fact, yesterday night when he was walking the dog.
You saw it right here?
Right here, yes. He walks around the neighborhood, goes over the street. My son saw him yesterday night.
Wow.
He walks over my seawall. I live like 3 houses down the road.
What happens if somebody tries to approach him or you get close to him?
I tried that once. If you come close enough, it stops a little bit. It comes a little closer, it runs, it jumps in the canal.
You afraid of these things? You think they're a safety issue?
I got respect. That's what I hear of them. If they bite, it's getting nasty, you know. It's a wild animal, but afraid, I would say no.
You said you have them around your seawall, and there's a burrow or something over at your place. Could we go take a look at that?
You can have a look at it, of course.
Jeez, look at all these shells.
Holy cow.
This Nile is using a dock as a perfect cover for its burrow.
He's got a nice spot to eat.
That looks like a couple of burrows, and I can see one from this angle.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them here.
But there's so much food here and cover that they're just in heaven. Ugh, I have never seen a snail population like this.
Niles are extremely aggressive and have voracious appetites. They'll eat almost anything, even small domestic animals like cats.
I smell something dead.
Turtle.
Yep, soft shell. Hey, Sean.
Dead turtle for you.
Stinky.
Would a monitor get a hold of,
I doubt it. Doesn't have any scrapes on it. There's no bite marks, no nothing on the thing.
Guys, something big right here.
Just went in?
Yeah.
I heard it.
It was not turtle-like. It was gator or lizard-like going in. You could hear the swish. Man, that is one elusive little creature.
Niles are much harder to catch than berms. They can run up to 25 kilometers per hour and have been known to stay underwater for up to 60 minutes.
They usually come back up. They usually don't sit if they're unmolested.
Yeah, there's enough foliage, though, that he could have squeezed up, just have his nose up in that over there and not see him. All right, well, let's head on, continue that direction, and see if we find another one.
For the hunters, pulling out the heavy artillery means climbing on the back of a truck, where they stand a greater chance of sighting the monitor.
I gotta tell you, it feels weird. Been running around the Everglades, back roads, and never see people for days hunting Burmese pythons, and all of a sudden we're driving in people's backyards looking for Nile monitors. It's a whole different world. There's one right there.
I see him. He's walking right through the grass. Yeah, he's still there. He's still there. He's going into the swamp. He's going right into that thick grass.
I'm standing in an area where he's got his nose down. I think he ditched. I think he went in. Come here, look at this.
It's all matted down?
It's all matted down right here just behind the grass. So nobody can see him. He's got a trail coming in this way and a trail going out right through there.
You can sun right here all you want.
I think I heard him off to the left when I was standing there.
When you guys came up on him, was he moving because of the vehicles, or was he just on
He was just moving. He was just back and forth, kind of meandering like they do, you know, side to side.
Once they head into this, there's no way to track them through this stuff.
You poke an eye out and lose a testicle or something.
You're talking them to do a controlled burn.
They're not going to do a controlled burn
in these
Have
houses
you looked
here.
at the neighborhood? Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Have you looked at this castle over here? I'm not thinking they want a controlled burn.
What worries me, though, is your truck is so loud. Damn. And he's half blind. Oh, we still love you, Mike.
Well,
Mikey, don't go away mad. Just go away.
The Nile hunt ends empty-handed. The python hunters may have to rethink their strategy.
Well, I don't think from today's experiences so far, we're just going to jump out and go chase them down and grab them. We're going to have to figure out a better game plan for that.
While Michael and Greg carry on hunting Nile monitors,
That was kind of like 4 and a dud. Oh, man, you got the good rocks, though.
Sean's at home teaching Thorne and a friend about a newly rescued native.
Hey, Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, come here. Check this out. Guys, pick this up. I got a call. Said, come and get it, or we're gonna kill it. You may want to step back.
And I'm gonna back up.
The eastern diamondback rattlesnake is a native species feared in Florida for its deadly hemotoxic bite.
Where you going?
Hemotoxins attack the arteries and veins. They destroy red blood cells and damage organs and tissue. Even a quick sprint to the hospital won't always save an injured limb.
Got you an eastern?
Yeah, eastern diamondback. Look at the rattle on this thing. Ooh, it's a big female. You're pretty.
You can kiss her for us?
Yeah. Ooh. Quick like lightning.
The eastern diamondback rattlesnake is North America's largest venomous snake. A 2.5-meter long rattler can strike its victim more than a meter away. But look out, it doesn't always rattle before striking.
Oh, there I am, huh? A little bit of heat. Hey, sweetie. Look at you. She's good. We've got an agreement. I don't get any closer to her, and I don't hurt her. And, you know, she keeps her distance as well. Tanner, you were here when we caught that other one right out front of the house.
Yep. Thorne thought it was a stick.
Yeah, that one. I forgot about that. It's hard for me. I understand people are really, really afraid of these animals, and this is a really bad bite. I mean, you know that. This is a really bad bite. I've been warning you about this since you were little. Venom on these things, highly toxic, really catalytic, and just destroy muscle tissue, and I mean, causes real severe necrosis. You can lose fingers, you can lose hands, you can lose mobility in your hand or in the limb. This is definitely a snake you don't want to get bit by here in Florida. She's using that rattle to say, hey, you know, I'm dangerous, stay away from me, I want to be left alone. See, she doesn't even... What? Yeah, here I am. Well, see, it's still defensive. She's coiled up, she's trying to protect herself. She's got the rattle going. Leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. You just need love, don't you?
So what are you gonna do with this one, Dad?
We've got that preserve down the road and across the street. I think maybe I'll release her into there. It's perfect habitat. I may hang on to her, put a couple meals in her, and give her a head start because the winter's on its way. And she's heating up. Look at her go. Tail's working overtime. You want to bring me that tub and pack her up?
While Sean prepares a juicy rat for his new lodger, Greg and Michael continue their quest to capture a Nile monitor lizard. After a washout in Cape Coral, they hatch a new plan and head east to another canal in crisis.
What's up, Nick? Hey, Michael, how you doing? Pretty good. Man, you're all
Local
right.
breeder and collector Nick Mole captures invasive species in Florida's canals.
Do you have any ideas of how they got here?
Local pet store that also did some importing may have unintentionally had them released, and they started to populate the canal, which is right behind their facility.
Unintentional releases are often attributed to hurricanes. Some people prefer to set reptiles free rather than leave them caged to face winds of 280 kilometers per hour.
People often dismiss the little babies as an unassuming threat. A lot of times they'll get out and dismiss it, but the fact of the matter is they go from a lizard that comes in as this size and goes to 6-7 feet in length and is capable of wreaking havoc.
Well, why don't we take a run out in your boat and survey the area?
My wife calls this the yacht.
The yacht?
Oh yeah, this is the yacht.
The yacht takes the hunters onto a canal tracing the highway toward Palm Beach International Airport. But it may as well be in the middle of a South American jungle.
Hey, there's a big male iguana right there. He's orange, look at him.
Iguanas are no Nile monitors.
You see him, Nick?
Let's come in.
But they are another one of Florida's invasive species that competes for space with native animals and damages infrastructure.
There he goes, there he's going. Let's see where he's going. He's going higher. All right, he's right above it. Get up there, Michael, get up there. Michael, get up there, Michael. Come on, Michael. Michael, get up there and get an eye on him.
Iguanas will jump 6 meters or more out of trees to avoid being captured.
We go into these palms?
We probably went, oh, there he goes. Oh, he's in the boat.
We had nobody in the boat. I almost had him. He jumped right in the boat. Get in the boat, guys.
Son of, he was right here.
God.
That was a monster male.
Yeah, it was a monster.
Iguanas are capable of producing clutches of 60, 70 eggs in a shot and 2 or 3 times in a season. So it's not going to take long with just a few breeders for them to totally repopulate this canal. Oh, big guy right here.
I see him.
Male sitting on the grass right there.
See him?
People have been releasing iguanas into canals for over 40 years. Now their descendants are out of control.
Just lift your head up when you want me to come.
Keep going, Chuck. He's headed back the other direction. He's too thick. We're not going to find him now. Man, this is frustrating.
This sucks.
Is that a big-ass iguana right there on that tree?
Oh, yeah. Look. Yeah. Whoa.
Wow. Yeah, it is. Look at his tail hanging down. He's already laying down. Look. He's already, his head was perched up. He's already laid down against that branch, and he wants to look like part of that tree. If he had his tail laying along that branch, I'd have never seen him. His tail hanging down is what gave him away. So what's the plan? We're gonna set Michael up around the backside?
We're gonna need someone to scare him, and then we're gonna need someone to catch him, so.
I'll come down and scare him down. See that den?
Oh, he is ways up there.
He is right at the crook in the tree.
He's bedded down. He's not planning on leaving that branch.
Tell me when.
Go, anytime.
Get him!
No. Son of a... Right in front of us.
Man, that was a beautiful dive.
Yeah, he dove almost right at me, but all it was a pure missile coming straight at me.
That was a howitzer.
Boom! These iguanas are kicking our butts, guys.
Despite all the action, chasing iguanas only distracts Greg and Michael from the real prize.
Where's the Niles at?
You guys just have to believe me. They're here. They're here.
We've been hearing that. We've been up and down this canal here, seeing iguanas all over the place.
The Nile monitor is a monitor. It's a much more intelligent lizard than an iguana. They're much better at hiding. They establish elaborate burrows.
None of that means anything. Your credibility's on the line.
I'm gonna prove you guys wrong.
We're waiting to see it.
After 2 hunting trips, Greg and Michael have yet to bag a big lizard. Until they find a way to catch them, the Nile hunt is on hold. Educating kids about Florida's invasive species is just as important as catching unwanted invasives. For Greg, that means packing up his critters for a presentation at Lane's school.
Everybody should be nice and calm. Actually, he's right there for you. If you can tail him and pull him out.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get wet this morning.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Just don't fall in on your head, please, Lane.
Just want
Now he knows what's going on. He's going to try and stay on the bottom. Got him. You gotta hang on. All right, good job, good job.
Wow. Hey, I wasn't gonna get wet this morning.
Right in the eye.
Doesn't have him.
Lexi, you want to try? Get your tail up. There you go. Got his tail. Hold it. Just hold him in there. Hold him in there. Don't splash.
Lexi,
All right, there we go.
getting wet.
I got him.
It's all right. Jeez.
There you go. We haven't had Skipper out in a while. You hear him? He's a little agitated.
Don't get alligator all over you.
How you doing, buddy?
Usually he wouldn't try to even bite us,
Oh,
would
he's
he?
not.
'Cause he's shy?
He just wants to get down. He doesn't want to bite us. But if I put my finger in his mouth,
He will bite.
he'll chomp down on it, that's for sure. All right, go ahead and set him down in there.
Lane selects a pet not many 9-year-olds can handle, a 3-meter-long reticulated python.
Get his head quickly and control it, or he's going to keep crawling back in. There you go.
Lexi grabs a threatened species and a native to Florida, the eastern indigo.
You hold this.
Hey, Mom, remember that one time
For me.
that the snake peed on me at the presentation? Everyone remembers that. That was in my class last year.
Dad wrangles the intimidating Burmese python.
Don't head near me.
Do we need anything else out of here?
I got it. I got it.
Now we got to get Jack.
Jack is Greg's most prized critter, one of less than 50 albino alligators in the world.
There we go.
That makes him a valuable addition to Greg's family and a hit at school presentations.
Clean him up at all or no?
I think, yeah, I think he's pretty clean.
He's got reverse going on.
Yeah, he sure does. Haven't put him in this bag in a while.
We need a bigger bag. Yeah, he does need a bigger bag.
He'll be okay.
For now.
Yeah.
Greg and Sean share a passion for albino alligators.
Look at Ice. Ice knows what's up.
They've been competing to become the first person in the world to breed them in captivity.
Yeah. All right. Morning. You hungry? Yeah, back up a little bit. Back up. Back up. No, back up. What'd I say?
After purchasing their Louisiana-born gators, the race was on.
Nilla, come on, girl.
Then, in August 2010, Sean became the first to produce the prized gator in captivity.
Good girl, Nilla. Your babies are doing good. Yeah. Your babies are doing good. I guess yours too. Huh, Big Papa? Not that you care. If they were out here, you'd try to eat them, wouldn't you? You'd try to eat them like snacks. Unfortunately, that's what bull gators do sometimes, is eat the babies. All right, be good. We'll be back. Look at you guys. They're my kids. They're my children. A lot of people thought that albino alligators wouldn't reproduce, that they, had some lethal gene or some sterility, which would preclude them from, having fertile offspring. When we got the eggs and you helped me take them out of the nest, we were psyched. And then when we saw that the eggs were fertile, we were even more pumped up. And then when these things pipped out, this household was just, on cloud 9. And the best part of it is, Greg thought that he was gonna do it first. We beat him. You're laughing at Greg? Yeah, that's funny, isn't it? Yeah, laugh it up.
Greg does about a dozen school presentations each year.
How you guys doing today? Good.
In
Okay.
Florida, educating children about snakes and alligators is just as important as learning to swim.
How many of you guys have seen the show Python Hunter? Okay, do you guys remember a snake? Do you remember a snake that got all chewed up by the vultures? Guys, I got it burned. Bad shape.
Oh, man, something's been eating him.
He's alive.
Oh, he's very much alive. Look at that.
Ah, look at the injuries to that animal. Oh my, watch it. You got it?
Something literally ate this while it was alive.
While it was alive, couldn't get away.
Wow.
If you look at the beaks on vultures, They're tough. I mean, they are designed to rip flesh.
See this?
Boom.
That's
boom,
a mouth.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom.
That's chunks taken
You
out.
know, just chunks after chunks. I will lay money that when this thing was cold in a catatonic state almost,
something was picking it.
Something just came up and was eating it alive.
We named that snake Chewy because he got chewed up by the vultures, okay? And Chewy's healed up, and he's one of the snakes now that we use to train other snake catchers on how to catch wild pythons. But I don't want anybody to walk up on the snake because this snake will strike and bite. We'll make sure he doesn't get under the truck, and we're gonna make sure he doesn't get to the people, okay? You want this? Chewy's gonna try and bite, then he's gonna get upset.
Although this Burmese python has been in captivity for a while, it's still dangerous.
Good shot. Oh!
The berm is Florida's most notorious invasive species. Greg uses him to share a valuable lesson with the kids about them.
All right. We have some animals here like the Burmese pythons that aren't supposed to be here. So we want to remove those out of the environment so that you guys can still enjoy the Everglades the way it's supposed to be with the indigos and the king snakes and the rat snakes and the things that are supposed to be there. One of the things that we like to teach people is how big the animals get, because when people see them in the pet store like this and they're really small, they don't realize that they're going to get big enough to eat large rats and rabbits. And then they don't know what to do with the animals. So if you're ever looking for a pet, especially a reptile or something that's not mainstream, you guys want to do research on the animal and find out what it eats and how big it's going to get.
Reticulated pythons grow between 7.5 and 10.5 meters long, so they aren't easy pets to feed or house.
How big around can they get?
That snake can get big enough around to eat a small deer, sometimes even bigger.
There are big, beautiful native snakes in Florida as well.
This is the largest native Floridian snake that we have, is the eastern indigo. He's going through a shed right now, and that's something that a lot of people don't ever get to see them actually shed, but it just slides right off. Right where it has slid off, the snake is actually sterile at that point. So right now, this snake is as clean as it could possibly be. Here's something really interesting too I'm going to show you. They actually have a scale over their eye. And when I peel this back, it's going to be like a contact lens that comes right off their eye. Now, we can pass those around. I'm going to bring out this next one. As you can see, I don't have any tape on him, which is why we're not going to let anybody pet him right now, okay? Yeah, he's actually getting heavy. I'm going to let him sit on my lap here for a minute. When he gets this big, only bigger alligators and people. What's that?
This is the second time this has happened to me during a presentation.
Well, you want to hold Jack? He hasn't peed yet.
Sure. Wait a minute, yet?
Yet. You're going to have to hang on to him because he's a lot stronger than you're used to. Get over that tail. I need this arm back. There you go. You got him? All right.
You better not start swimming, buddy.
Let it just relax and let's get him to calm down for a second. And if he pees, he's all yours.
No, I'll hand him over to you.
You know, it's really important that we get the information out to these younger kids and educate them about the reptiles so that when they look at these animals for pets, we want to make sure that these invasive animals don't end up out in the wild and injure or destroy our ecosystem.
Greg loves teaching, but duty calls. On their last hunt for the Nile monitors, Greg and Michael found nothing but iguanas.
Get him! No! Son of a...
Today, they've returned to the same canal with Nick to decide once and for all if any Niles live here.
They tear meat, they rip it, they crush snails. You know, they definitely have a much more powerful bite than any snake.
As painful as a burn bite is, it doesn't have that pressure, and it doesn't have that this slash cut that these Nile monitor's teeth do.
2 years ago, Michael almost lost his finger when it was viciously shredded by a monitor bite.
Monitor right there. Monitor
Nile
right
monitor,
there.
Nile monitor.
Nile monitor right on the bank.
Right here.
Right on the bank back there.
All right, you're going in.
Finally, the hunt is on.
Go by and recon first. God, if I get this is huge. We got to get this. Oh man, he's hard. He's going to be hard to get. I thought he was in a more open area. Right there, he's looking at us now. Turn around and nose into him. If he runs up towards Michael, we're golden.
He's moving. He's moving.
He's going back. He's going quick. Spin us around. God. That's definitely confirmation that they're here.
Oh, yeah.
The thing we need to do is come back here with a little bit better ammunition. We're not prepared for these lizards. They're
There's another Nile. Turn around. He's right there. He's coming down. Yeah, I'm getting it.
Didn't you just pay attention to what he did?
Yeah, but he was out farther.
What is the definition of insane?
Hey, he went underwater. I didn't. Just went down in the burrow.
Wow, he's drugged some dead meat in there.
You can smell that too.
Yeah.
They're pulling the roadkill, dragging it down here off the road into their burrows, and that's a nice smell.
We've seen 2 in, 50 to 100 yards.
Woo! We can just isolate this population and get some good trapping and good hunting on them. We might be able to shut these guys down.
No, I'm just I'm getting a GPS here. We're going to put a drop pin right here.
Why don't you send a text while we're standing here right now to the invasive species coordinator at FWC?
All right, I'll send it to him right now.
With mixed Nile monitor sightings now confirmed, the hunters can't resist trying to catch one with nothing but their bare hands and a boatload of bravado.
On the bank.
You got his tail? You got his tail? Yeah. Watch out. He can't turn in that pipe. I got his tail. Where is your... Which way did he go?
Feel that?
Yeah. You got that.
It's a good-sized lizard.
Get a grip and maybe swap out.
I don't know if there's enough room to even move my hand out of the way. You got it.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Good grip?
Got it.
All right.
God, he's wedged.
Hey, I'll tell you what we can do.
But you know
There's a tip of this tail. We can get DNA. We can take the tip of this tail that's broke. You feel it? Ow! Son of a bit me.
Really?
Yeah, hell yeah, he did. Look at the saliva on my thumb.
Hold on.
Look at how dirty my hand is, and look at where he cleaned off my thumb.
A Nile bite can be very dangerous and painful and should be tended to by a physician. While they aren't venomous, their saliva does contain nasty bacteria that can cause severe infections.
He's off in the unknown. At least we could say we all had our hands on one.
I touched it.
You touched it. I got bit by it.
He got bit by it. You had your hands on it.
Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
I just think the chances of us actually being able to capture them right now is with the tools we've got is slim to none.
We're gonna have to come back with a net gun and with nighttime, whatever it is we need to do.
You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Or in the case of invasive lizards, empty hands to a Nile monitor hunt.
Let's see what we got. Test this new net gun out, baby.
Net guns capture wildlife without causing death or injury. But this one came without instructions in English.
Nice. It's in like Mandarin Chinese. Crap. Guess I should have studied up, huh?
Nile monitors run away from humans at the slightest sign of danger.
Like a Chinese jigsaw puzzle.
But with 9 square meters of net and a striking distance of over 12 meters, escape is practically impossible.
Where do I put the round at? There's my powder charge.
Smart hunters test their gear. And with 2 unknowing volunteers in sight, this net is about to take its maiden voyage.
What do you think he's doing?
I don't know. And here he comes.
What do you got?
Hey, boy. Got a gun in his hand.
Almost had you, baby.
That worked pretty decent.
Yeah, that came out beautifully.
Yeah, as long as it works.
If I hadn't pulled my shot, I think I'd have Greg all right there.
I noticed he was aiming more towards me than you as well.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was happy for
That was a bigger target. I had to go for the biggest target.
He goes there. You plan on using that now?
Huh?
So we using that again, or
Oh,
what?
I was being ready.
Just being ready, walking around with a live load in there?
What? Your nose going.
Come on, man.
I caught one, Mikey.
Can you get out of that?
Yeah, I'm sure I can get out of it.
He's got
Now
his
we
head,
know it works.
He's got his head through a hole. This saw them work real nice on those Nile monitors, boys.
Oh, yeah.
Now fully armed, they've returned to Nick's infested canal to catch their first Nile.
Yes. This, the net gun extraordinaire Nile monitor assassin pistol. And if Greg gets too out of line, I'll just net gun his ass.
It's gotta go this way, obviously.
With the net gun packed, Sean takes the lead and the catch position in his boat.
Well, from what we've been seeing, just like over in Cape Coral, look at that tree right there. It is just plumb full of those exotic apple snails, and we're seeing them all over the banks. And, you know, they were finding hundreds of those in the stomachs of those Niles they necropsied. So you can pretty much bet that here, that's probably primarily what they're eating as well.
Well, this is their perfect habitat. There's holes there, holes there, holes there. Great places for them to crawl into and den.
We've got a Nile monitor right there.
You see it?
Yeah. It's straight off the bow. 2.5 feet above the water right there. That net might get through there close enough to,
Yeah, I got it.
to do something.
That's its burrow right there.
The left one?
Yeah.
Look,
Right
let's
above
go
the cup.
toward-
Now, when do you want me to start heading into it?
No, hang on, Nate, not yet. I want to check this out. He's in a massive tangle.
Yeah.
His
that's
head,
the problem is
his
he's-
head is sticking right out this side. All we can do is try this net and let's see what we get.
Got her?
I got it. Don't get on me, don't get on me. Can't get away with you that close, Michael.
I'm back. Hold on.
No, go this way, go this way. Go this way.
She's on there. Get her, get her, get her.
Woohoo!
Got her?
Oh, get that up. Let me see that. Let me see that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at that freaking thing. Look at this thing.
Make
Hold
sure
on.
he's got a good grip.
I got it.
Yeah, I've got his back legs here.
She's coming out fighting if
Look
she comes
at
loose.
that color. And she is gorgeous.
When they get something in that mouth, between the razor sharp teeth in there, and when they grab a hold of something, if they can't swallow it right down, these front claws will just shred it. Look at that. It's like a velociraptor right there.
Did you see when I laid my hands on her and we both tumbled to the ground?
The python hunters have finally captured their first Nile monitor. The animal's journey from pet to problem to property of Fish and Wildlife Commission has given Sean, Michael, and Greg a taste for a new mission: to take on Florida's most destructive and invasive species, wherever they may be, wherever they roam free.
Good grab, man.
She almost hit me on my nipple.